90-Day Fiancé star Mido goes off on Debbie over shocking dispute. Part 1. The atmosphere inside the studio felt different that evening. Everyone could sense that something unexpected was about to happen. Cast members sat in their seats, waiting for the discussion to begin. Cameras were rolling, lights were bright, and every face showed a mixture of curiosity and anticipation. Among those present were Mido and Debbie. Over the past few weeks, rumors had circulated among fans about a disagreement between them. Nobody knew the full story, and many wondered whether the issue would finally be addressed. As the conversation moved from one topic to another, both remained calm. They listened carefully and occasionally shared their thoughts. However, it became clear that there was tension beneath the surface. The host eventually brought up a recent misunderstanding that had created discussion among viewers. The question seemed simple enough, but the moment it was mentioned, several cast members exchanged surprised looks. Debbie adjusted her seat and smiled politely before explaining her side of the situation. "I never intended for anyone to feel disrespected," she said. "I was simply sharing my opinion." For a moment, the room remained quiet. Then Mido leaned forward. "I understand that," he replied, "but opinions can have consequences when they affect other people." The tone of his voice immediately caught everyone's attention. It was not loud, but it was firm. Several cast members watched closely as Debbie responded. "I wasn't trying to create a problem," she explained. "I thought I was being honest." Mido nodded. "Honesty is important," he said, "but sometimes honesty without understanding can create misunderstandings." The discussion continued, and viewers could see that both had very different perspectives on the issue. One cast member attempted to lighten the mood by making a joke, causing a few people to laugh. For a brief moment, the tension eased, but it did not last long. As more details emerged, Mido revealed that he had felt disappointed for quite some time. According to him, the disagreement was not about a single comment. Instead, it was about a series of events that had gradually created frustration. "I stayed quiet for a while," Mido explained. "I hoped things would improve." Debbie appeared surprised. "You never told me that," she replied. "I didn't think I needed to," Mido answered. "I thought the situation was obvious." The room became silent again. Some cast members agreed that communication could have prevented the issue from growing. Others believed both sides were responsible for the misunderstanding. The host encouraged them to explain their feelings in more detail. Debbie took a deep breath. "I respect everyone here," she said. "If I made mistakes, I can admit that. But I don't think everything being said about me is fair." Mido listened carefully. When she finished speaking, he responded calmly. "I'm not saying you're a bad person," he explained. "I'm saying that certain actions had an impact, whether that was your intention or not." The statement seemed to resonate with several people in the room. One cast member nodded in agreement. Another suggested that both sides should focus on finding common ground rather than revisiting old disagreements. For a few minutes, the conversation became more constructive. People shared their thoughts. Different viewpoints were discussed. The tension slowly began to decrease. However, everything changed when an unseen detail was mentioned. A previously unknown piece of information suddenly entered the conversation. The revelation surprised nearly everyone present. Debbie's eyes widened. Mido immediately reacted. "That's exactly what I've been talking about," he said. The host looked intrigued. "Can you explain?" the host asked. Mido nodded. "This detail changes everything," he replied. Several cast members leaned forward, eager to hear more. The audience in the studio remained completely silent. What happened next would become one of the most talked about moments of the evening. Mido began explaining a sequence of events that very few people knew about. As he spoke, reactions around the room grew stronger. Some people appeared shocked. Others looked confused. Debbie listened carefully, occasionally shaking her head. "I remember things differently," she said. "That may be true," Mido answered. "But from my perspective, this is what happened." The disagreement was no longer about a single comment or misunderstanding. It had become a discussion about trust, communication, and differing interpretations of the same events. The host realized the conversation was reaching a critical point. "This seems bigger than anyone expected," the host observed. Several cast members agreed. Even those who had remained quiet throughout most of the discussion began sharing their opinions.